Today we have a very special interview with Corrina Steward, founder of Earth Hive Essences. I first met Corrina at Herbs Talk 2013, where she presented a workshop about the alchemy of flower essences. I was excited to learn about how to make flower essences from Corrina. At the workshop, we also had the opportunity to try various flower essences from the Earth Hive Essences collection. I'm excited to introduce our community at Manifest with Flower Essences to Corrina Steward. Welcome, Corrina.
Thank you, Megan. It's good to be here and great to connect with you again.
Thank you. I'm sure our listeners are going to be excited to learn about your experience with flower essences, so we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay.
So we'd like to know what inspired you to initially try flower essences?
It's a good question. Everyone has their story, don't they, about flower essences, how you get turned on. I mean, the short answer is, the flowers really found me. I didn't know a lot about flower essences. I wasn't someone who, had them in my reality. I wasn't familiar with them. There was one friend that I had who worked with flower essences, and she was a part of a healing group that I founded and lead called the Beehive Collective. And she would bring flower essences to our gatherings, and we were doing healing for Mother Earth. And so, I got really curious about it through her, but then we also discovered that as we were doing group healing work, that we were actually creating a vibration of healing that we could even imprint into the water from just our group healing.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how it got started. Like, as a group, we started doing that. And then, as a sort of offshoot of that, I started to get interested in, experimenting, making my own. And seriously, I mean, the flowers just started to, I would get this feeling. I would look at the first one I made was with this really, common summer garden flower, pink phlox. And, it was in my backyard, and I've seen it a million times, but this one time, it felt different to me, and I do have some healing gifts. I have clairvoyance gifts, and I'm very intuitive and can communicate with the spirit essence of Mother Nature. And so this flower said, started telling me what it does for the physical body. And so I said, okay, that sounds pretty wild. I'll try it. So I made an essence of, the pink phlox, and, it was really quick, and I took it, and I just started to feel really amazing. So that's what opened the doorway for me.
Fantastic. That's really powerful. Which leads me to the next question. In one of your workshops, you mentioned that you believe that flower essences are a form of alchemy. And I think that's a beautiful term, and I would love to hear more about what you mean by this.
Yeah, when now I've only been making flower essences for it's been about a year and a half. But over that time, I've seen this pattern and process through my own personal journey with flower essences, but then now having products and, basically, providing advice to people and consultations on, what flower essences to take, and seeing the transformation in other people, what I began to see is that, each of us is a biochemistry. Our emotional state, our mental state, our physical health represents some sort of a mixture of bioenergies. And so when we are seeking the assistance of flower essences, we're actually seeking to mix our essence, our bioenergy, with the bioenergy of the flower. And when we do that, that's when the alchemy happens. It can be, to put it kind of simply, it could be, you have a lot of fire energy in you. Maybe you're dealing with issues of anger, frustration, rage, things that are getting just really fiery inside. So A flower essence that you would want is one that carries a water energy, something that's, going to tame that fire inside and create a balance. So you're really dealing with what I call the alchemical forces of nature. And, of course, we are a part of nature. So in taking flower essences, it's really recognizing our own physical being as being a part of nature and interacting with nature in a grander scale by literally, consuming the essence of nature into our physical bodies, which then will result in transformation and ultimate evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So that what I've seen, and this is what's really wild, is that, our inner chemistry changes when we take the flower essence. But the flowers are also evolving through that relationship. And that's something I think gets missed sometimes, that, part of our role on this planet, I believe, is actually to be in relationship to Mother Earth. And there's this coevolution going on. So, as we take in the flower essence, we learn something about that flower, which then we can educate other people about, and then that's broadening the really the global awareness about nature and the need to, be to really see it as a sacred part of life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, kind of a short answer on the alchemy piece. There's a lot of details in that I could talk about. But yeah, so I hope that kind of gets the gist of it.
Yeah, I think that was a beautiful explanation. And it's fascinating to think about the relationship being a two-way relationship that,
Yes.
a lot of times we think of it as a one-way sort of relationship, and this opens it up to a whole new realm. So I think that was really beautiful.
Yeah, it really does, and I think it's important because it's occurring to me now that part of the reason why that I believe is essential is it even starts to, because I don't actually think of flower essences as medicine. I think of it as a part of really tuning your own life force.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're connecting to the life force of Mother Nature, and through that reciprocal relationship, we're also giving back to nature, because as we transform our presence through flower essences, we're better able to care for Mother Earth and become really the guardians of the earth, which, I believe spiritually is really what we're here to be.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot because I think a lot of people who are drawn to flower essences are very conscientious. And
Yeah.
I think this idea of being part of a greater cycle
Mm-hmm.
is very powerful.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is because, right, we're part of a whole unity consciousness. I mean, we're choosing to, in a sense, become a part of the flowers.
Hmm.
So yeah, we're in body, mind, and spirit adapting to that.
Hmm. Now, you have a line of essences that you have created and developed called Earth Hive Essences. Could you tell us a little bit more about what makes them unique or what you think makes them unique?
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, right off the bat, my my essence formulas are combinations of multiple flowers as well as crystals. So that's a bit, unusual. That does exist out there, but I combine them. So I don't have any essences that are just single flower or even single crystal essences. They're all combinations. And the way I describe it is that my essences come from the family of vibration that is the rose. So, the rose vibration is very, very powerful. Some I've read, some people have said, rose as a healing energy is the highest vibration that we can tap into, of all the flowers, and even people who work with essential oils say that in terms of rose oil.
Okay.
Um, so, so yeah, that's the foundation. Is that all of my essences begin with a flower essence, as well as the quartz crystal that's called angelic aura quartz crystal. So that's the foundation of every one of them that I make. And then from there, they build up to their specific, their specific formula, which I do receive very intuitively in my conversations with nature. Things that it's interesting. Usually, when I get the formulas, I don't know what it's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I just get the formula, then I make it, and then I take it, and the name and its effect will be revealed at that point. Another unique aspect of the essences, which is in the name, Earth Hive Essences, is that I work with, as a healer, I work with the consciousness of bees.
Mm-hmm.
And, that is a huge family of energy. It's connected to honeybees. It's a lot I could say about that, but I'll try to break it down in that, essentially bees, if you think about how they are as a social creature, they work through the hive. And in that sense, everything is unified in that, each bee has their specific job and role in the hive, and yet they work as a collective.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually put the imprint of the hive consciousness into the waters, and I'm able to do that through the healing gifts that I have and something that I've received through my own spiritual journey. I carry that energy frequency in me. And so I literally, it's like part of my alchemy, it's part of my essence that I can pour into the water.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're receiving when you take it is two things in particular. You're receiving the unified intelligence, because the hive is that unified web. So you're connecting in then to you could call it the collective mind, but it's the higher mind. So it's not all the chaos, it's higher intelligence, which certainly leads to innovation and those like bulb moments, because you're tapping into that broader sweep of ideas and higher mind intelligence. And then the other aspect is the unified heart. In the hive, the honey is the heart. So all of my essences are about awakening to the heart intelligence. So it's a really beautiful synergy of that hive heart and hive mind. And the way I classify my essences is that they're part of a new body of essences that are recognizing that the human being is actually evolving into the next level of intelligence and what I call a heart intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
We are, on the cutting edge of our species. We are looking to solve, our global problems from the heart, through compassion, through, really through a spiritual understanding of the nature of life and the nature of existence.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the source for, for the new life systems that we're creating. So.
Right. The idea of the heart mind is definitely getting more acceptance as time goes on. So I think a lot of people are recognizing the power that the heart has in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's exciting to see. There's a lot of science that's really backing that up now. There's the Heart Math Institute. They've done all sorts of studies showing the huge electromagnetic field that the heart center creates around you.
Mm-hmm.
And that the more you work with your heart center as an intelligence, you actually have an impact on the world around you. And, that impact is centered out of love and compassion and kindness. So, we're discovering that we have this other brain inside of us
Mm-hmm.
that has capacities that, the human brain, as we've understood it, doesn't have.
Right. Absolutely. Could you briefly tell us? I know you're constantly in the process of making new essences as part of your collection, but approximately how many you have?
Yeah, right now I have about a dozen.
Okay.
I may have 13. I also have one product that is an essence spray, which is a type of environmental essence. So you can spray it on yourself, or you can spray it in a room, or on physical objects even.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I have about a dozen. Each one has really grown from the last. That's what I've noticed. It's a co-creation.
Uh-huh.
Um, so when I first started making them last summer, I was so busy. It was constant, like make a new essence, and they're really pouring out of me. And how I understood that first body of essences was about preparing the body, the physical body, our biology, to receive higher intelligence and the heart awakening. So there was a lot of essences that were about cleansing, balancing,
Mm-hmm.
creating an inner peacefulness that would prepare one
Mm-hmm.
to really be a fully engaged. I call them earth angels. That's what we're becoming.
Mm-hmm.
And the latter essences that came through in the beginning of 2013 were really all about that. It was sort of this post transformed human, like fully being in the new human, and being able to really activate some pretty amazing gifts. And that's been pretty surprising to see. Um, you know what we're becoming capable of. So I could talk more specifically about some of them if you would like, or
If you'd like to highlight maybe one or two of the essences, because the next question that I was going to ask was, how you recommend people
yeah,
starting to take these flower essences, like what should people take them for, and
right,
exactly, yeah.
yeah. Well, so when people come to me, I had a great opportunity at Herbstock to consult with a lot of people, and again, because I am fairly new at doing this, and yet discovering I'm quite gifted at it. What I do usually is, because I have the ability to read people's energy, I pretty quickly can see where maybe there is some need to balance out and harmonize some energies. And so that's generally what I do, is like an energy scan of your body. And then I even ask, I tap into that heart intelligence and ask, what is it that, the heart needs? And different things come through. It's always, so far it's always been correct. So again, let me see. I'll kind of describe two essences that, one is a part of the first essences I made that were about the preparation piece I'm describing.
Okay.
And the other one is more this, what I call a very advanced essence. So the first one is actually the very first one I ever made. It's called Star Water. And what that does is it actually cleanses the blood of any sort of toxicity. Now, toxicity can come in many forms. It could be emotional toxicity, so any, I mentioned before, anger, unsettled emotions, places that need healing but you're holding, so it's sort of like a holding on to things.
Okay.
And, we do that emotionally, mentally, and that can exist. That actually then translates into physical discomfort. You may feel just like uncomfortable in your skin, actually. And, it kind of can lead to depression, lead to sadness. What the Star Water does is create a lightness of being. So it will realign your physical body to help release anything you're holding on to, anything that feels stuck. So it's kind of like a releasing essence, which, some people, they take it and right away I see the shift in their face. There's just this, what I would call really, it's a happiness, but it's a lightness that takes over.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's kind of that, like, don't take yourself too seriously. Seems to be what the essence speaks. as soon as you take it, like, oh boy, why was I getting all like bent out of shape, like sweating the small stuff when like life is really a gift and I feel a lot better. So that's Star Water. And another piece, and this is a bit more cosmic for your listeners that would be interested in that piece. Ultimately, the Star Water is preparing your physical body to be able to connect to starlight energy. Now, this is a concept I never considered before I made this essence.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's thousands, millions of stars that are pointed in towards the Earth. We see them every night, and they do put out a light. And that light frequency reaches the Earth, and it actually can be absorbed into the body. And as we are evolving biologically, which is a very organic, natural process for the human species, we are actually gaining the ability to receive that starlight energy and have it help us to create a new life force within us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that it does. And I've seen that in people who've taken it, who will have this sort of, what I call almost like an activation. They take it and it's like they feel connected to something bigger. It's personal for each person,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the pattern I've seen with that essence.
Fantastic. I'm sure people would like to explore more, and at the end of this interview, we'll give people the web address so they can learn even more details about all the flower essences that you offer.
Great.
Could you share a little bit about the process of actually making one of these essences? Now, I know it's different with each flower essence practitioner or creator of an essence, and we'd love to hear what process you follow.
Okay, yeah, I think, mine is very intuitive. I don't set out, for example, I don't know what I'm going to be making, as I was mentioning earlier. So it will always be that bird flying by. I don't know if you could hear that. It's pretty accelerated. When I'm going to make a new essence, it doesn't come gradually. It comes really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be like this, generally. I start receiving really specific instructions, and I know that may be somewhat a new thing for people to hear if you haven't had this experience, but it's really like that. It's like I'll get, take this rose, this many drops, combine it with rose quartz crystal. Then I'll even receive a vision of what's called like a sacred geometrical light structure that I am to actually imprint into the water and then pour each of the single flower essences through. So, my process is very magical.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I receive the whole package right away, and then sometimes I don't know. I won't have the source essence, so I need to find it. And I'm telling you, every single time, as crazy as the request may be, I find it. From like a fig tree essence, I had to get that for my destiny essence. I live in New England. Big trees don't grow here. And I was searching the web high all over the place, trying to make a connection in the Middle East, Northern Africa. These are where the fig trees are from. Thinking, okay, I'm going to have to like get something shipped to me. Just not sure how I was going to do it. And then out of the blue, my father-in-law who does not even know I need to find a fig tree, says out of the blue something about some guy he met at a summer garlic festival out in Western Mass that sells fig trees.
Wow.
And 2 days later, I'm in Wendell, Massachusetts, at the fig tree farm. And I'm hanging out with this amazing farmer, and he's got all these fig trees in his greenhouse, and he's just given me full permission to sit with the trees and speak to them and make an essence from it. So I've come to really see that it's to trust my guidance, to
Mm-hmm.
follow the instructions to a T. There's both precision in my process as well as that magical element of just allowing myself to be intuitive and feeling into the process. So, that's how it happens for me. It's always very clear. Every once in a while, I have dreams as well, very clairvoyant dreams that a flower will come to me and I'll be told what it does and how to work with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's magical. It's shamanistic. It's it's been a personal journey for me because it's really along the way in gaining my inner trust in following those instructions, and every time it manifests, I've learned to believe in the process, and that's the type of belief that I can carry over to the people I work with
Mm-hmm.
our essences. So I think that ends up coming through because my process has made me really trust.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's fantastic because it's essentially what all of us need to do is listen to this intuition and this inner guidance and take inspired action. And so you exhibit it even in the process of creating the essences. So that's
Yeah.
fantastic if that sort of insight and energy comes through in your essences.
It is because, in order to be healed, we have to believe we can be, right? And I think that's what the flower essences can do is it really, that's why I say it's so much more than medicine because it's really working on, our inner confidence, our inner empowerment to, be empowered in our health, be empowered in our lives, and ultimately be empowered in what we create in our life. And that's what essences have shown me. And I think that's the capability and possibility for people when they start down that journey with flower essences.
Fantastic. Thank you. What do you see as the future of flower essences in the world? Do you feel that we're at a time when, humanity is really ready and that flower essences can have a significant impact on our world as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I think it already has. And, it's funny. I laugh a little bit because there's this part of me that already knows that on some level, it is already done. The earth and all of her people, I believe, we already are flower essence. And what is happening now is that we're becoming conscious of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it already is. The flowers around us, even if we're not making an essence out of it, they're healing us every day. They're healing us just because they exist and they're in our gardens and they're in our forests and they're everywhere. And that's what the flowers have shown me is that as a plant system, they're healing the earth. And because we're so intimately connected with the earth, we're inseparable from it, that the essence of a flower's energy is, it's already doing the work in healing us and solving even all of our major global problems environmentally, our political conflicts. I see that that's happening. So, but in terms of it, in terms of like an industry and finding more traction within like the alternative health community, I think we have at some level I think flower essences could become really central to it
Mm-hmm.
because they're so easy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There's not a lot of protocol to them. You can't overdose on them.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you can learn on your own. Maybe if you do a consult with someone, you do one-time consult and then just be flying with it and just start your own. Start using your own information and intuition. So I think people really like that about flower essences, that it's easy to integrate into your life. You can use it with, for children and the elderly and pets, and it's just so much potential. And the other thing I'll say is that, and this is kind of where we really headed in like the long, long term,
Mm-hmm.
think is understanding that water, water is life, and the Earth is a water planet, and that water I see is the ultimate healing modality, and I think that's why flower essences are becoming more central, and that eventually we're going to discover that, and people are doing this, that you can really imprint just like a heart meditation into water, and then take that and receive healing from that. And so, in a way, what we're talking about is what can water do for us,
Mm-hmm.
and because water is the vehicle by which we're receiving the essence of flowers. And, so getting back to, where I started, it's like, I think the whole planet and the work that I do as a healer is actually helping the entire planet become the rose essence. And, so that's happening, every time an individual takes rose-based essences, as well as when we just open our heart
Mm-hmm.
to the essence of flowers, then we're spreading that into the greater, environment around us. So, I would love to see, that it, will get into more mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, people still don't really get what it is. They sell them at Whole Foods, co-ops, but I'd like it to be in, like, why not, the natural food section of a major supermarket. I think that day is coming, and probably a lot faster than we may think.
I like that vision a lot, and I really hope that's the case. I think for anyone who's used flower essences for even a short amount of time, the type of things that I hear are, phenomenal and astounding. These stories where people have really used it to transform their lives, and I think it is that type of vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, oh, the other thing I want to say about that is I think we're going to start seeing it not just, in the form of essence as we take it now, but in other products from, makeup products. And I don't quite know how you do it, but these are some of the ideas I have actually, and I've been getting some information about it intuitively, is to start putting flower essences in like our daily products,
Mm-hmm.
so that it's, the essence of a flower is really, it's like integrated into, everything that we use,
Mm-hmm.
from soaps and makeup to, different food products. I cook with them sometimes. I don't know what it does, but I've experimented, I've
Interesting.
certainly put them in beverages, different beverages, especially when I'm making like herbal teas and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But even like if I'm making like a stir fry, like
Okay.
just put a few drops in, because I think that the possibilities are really infinite for where we can take this.
Well, that's definitely very fascinating. I love your enthusiasm for this, and I think you're doing great things. And I'm excited that our audience was able to learn more. And I want to thank you for sharing your insights and information with Manifest with Flower Essences.
Thank you so much, Megan. It was a real pleasure.
And I invite our audience to learn more about Corrina Steward and Earth Hive Essences. Please visit our website at www.earthhive.net. And we also invite all of our blog readers to share thoughts and questions in the comments section by clicking on the blog post title. Thank you.